Hello everyone, let's do the balance brackets question. And this is quite a common type of programming challenge. So let's go through it. We have different types of brackets here. We have round, curly, and square brackets. And it says they're matching if the first bracket is, the same type as the second bracket. And we have a sequence of brackets is said to be balanced if we have some conditions. So either it's an empty sequence, or we have two or more balanced sequences, or the first and last brackets of the sequence are matching, and the portion of the sequence without the first and last elements is balanced. Okay, so what does that mean? I think it's easiest to see by looking at some examples what this means. So here, this would be true because kind of the round brackets cancel each other out, and then the square ones cancel each other out, and then you got the curly ones finally that cancel each other out. This is also balanced because we've got two separate, balanced sequences here. This is going to be false because you got the curly bracket closing the round bracket, and that's not allowed. And something like this is also false here because for every, closed bracket, you got to have an open one somewhere. So I think it's a fairly intuitive question. Let's figure out how we can code a function that checks if a particular sequence here, which is going to be a string, is going to make sure that it's going to be true or false, right? So either it's going to be balanced or not, and we have to write some code to figure out if it's balanced. And we're going to do this with a stack. In the following way. So in Python, to create a stack, you could just use a list basically. There are other ways of doing it, but let's create just an empty list, and then we can append and pop from the stack, right? Which is actually a list, but we can treat it as a stack. So we're going to go through every character in the string with a loop. So for C and S, and then we're going to check whether the character, if it's a closing parentheses, we're going to check if it matches one of the opening ones in the stack, right? And if so, then we can pop the opening bracket and keep going, right? If not, we just append it to the stack and keep going. So that's the basic approach here. So let me write you some code to show you what I mean. So let's say, okay, if C is, let's say, the closing bracket, then, well, we better have an opening bracket that cancels this one out, right? So we're gonna check if the stack is not empty. So if stack, and we're gonna check if the let's see, the last element in the stack. So we're going to check that this way. If that what is equal to the open parentheses, and C equals the closed parentheses, then we can just pop off the stack, right? So stack dot pop. And we do the same thing for the square brackets and curly brackets. So I'm just going to copy that. And do the same for the curly brackets. I'm going to turn this into elifs here. So square bracket and curly bracket. Okay. So that takes care of the case where C is either the closed round bracket or square bracket or curly bracket, right? Now, what if it's none of these? Or what if none of these conditions are met? Then we simply append to the stack, right? Stack dot append the character. Okay, now if we were able to find matches for all of these, in the end, our stack should be empty. But if there was a dangling parentheses somewhere, then our stack is going to have something left over. And if it has something left over, that means it's not balanced. So we're going to do one final check for if stack, right, which is equivalent to checking the length if the length is greater than 0. Then we return false. Otherwise, we return true here at the end. So that should solve the problem here. Let's give it a run to see if it actually worked. Okay, we passed our test cases. And I think it's pretty much this simple. There, you could do a few minor refinements here, but I think this basically solves the problem the way they expect you to solve it here with a stack. So let me know if this makes sense to you, and if you have questions, I'd be happy to answer in the comments. Thanks very much for watching.